Welcome to Tales of Blue, episode 39. I'm joined by a man who has simply seen it all as both a player and ambassador for the club. An outstanding player who was cruelly denied the obvious years and caps ahead of him through a back injury, but remains one of the most popular players of his time among the City faithful and football fans all over. Welcome to Alex Williams, MBE. So Alex, you were literally born a goal kick from Main Road.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Grew up in and around Manchester City, so it was always going to be City for you. What are your earliest memories of City, the club, going to Main Road?
Well, it's interesting because I used to knock about with a couple of friends of mine, like Colin and Greg, and 1 week we'd go to Man City and 1 week we'd go to United. When we went to United, I never felt anything. I didn't feel necessarily comfortable. But when I went to City, there's just something nice about it. Maybe it's because it was in my side where I was born. I don't know what it was. And then the turning point was the '69 Cup final when Neil Young scored the goal and we won, and that just made me a mad City fan.
Yeah.
But I did always lean towards City, and I never ever thought I would play for the club. I did used to enjoy playing football as a kid at school, but you know, maybe because I didn't have it as my number one ambition in life, it sort of came true, because sometimes with kids, they want something so bad it's difficult to get it, whereas I enjoyed football and I sort of went into it slowly, but obviously I was very proud. Privileged to have.
So it was always going to be a goalkeeper for you?
I was pretty good outfield, so maybe the modern rules today would work for me,
Yeah.
you know, playing out from the back and using your feet. But no, it was great. You know, I've met so many wonderful people, current and former players. It's just been fantastic association with me.
So what players did you add on your bedroom wall
I
up?
probably would have had people like Mike Summerby, Francis Lee, Colin Bell. Pat Jennings was a big hero of mine, the sort of Tottenham Arsenal goalkeeper, and then of course Joe Corrigan later on, who I went on to supersede.
So you would have played against Pat Jennings later on for City at
I
Arsenal?
don't think I actually played against Pat Jennings. I played against Ray Clements. It was and ironically I played against Joe Corrigan because he left. Would have been about 83, something like that. I went to America, Canada. Then he came back to Brighton and we played against him at Brighton, and I think we beat them 2-0.
So this is Big Joe's shirt?
Yeah, that's
Did you
his
see
shirt. Yeah, ironically, you know, I remember the cotton stuff, and when we were goalkeepers in those days, the goalkeeping gloves were actually cotton goalkeeping gloves.
Right.
They didn't have all the synthetic stuff, so it was great. But one of my stories was when I was about 13, 14 years of age, I was playing for a local Sunday League team, and we had our football presentation at the end of one season. And ironically, it was at Strangeways Prison. There was a social club next to the prison, and the person who came to present the trophies to us that night was Joe Corrigan. Who'd have said or thought 8 years later I would be taking
So he'd
his
have been the
place.
man to aspire to.
Absolutely, yeah,
growing up.
absolutely.
So Alex, you joined City around 79?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Success in the youth team.
Yeah, we did quite well. We got to
finals.
2 FA Youth Cup finals. We didn't win either of them. I think we got beat by Millwall the first year and Villa the second year. But we had some great players who come through, the likes of Tommy Caton, Steve Kinsey, Andy May, Steve McKenzie,
All
Clive
went on to have
Wilson.
good
All
careers,
went on to have great careers. So though we didn't win the FA Youth Cup, we had a great crop of players who went on to have good careers.
So you'd have been at the club around 81 when we
Yeah,
got to
would have
Wembley
been,
under
yeah.
John Bond.
Yeah,
So here's a shirt from the cup final, which
Yeah.
was worn by Kevin Reeves.
yeah.
So did you go
fantastic.
down on the day, both
Well,
games, or how did that work for you?
It was interesting because there was only Joe Corrigan and myself who were the two key goalkeepers, so I automatically presumed when the squad was announced to go to Wembley that I'd be in the squad.
Okay.
But they only took one goalkeeper, Joe Corrigan, so
Right.
I was very disappointed. I think because I was a young kid coming through, maybe the chairman at the time thought it'd be better to take, or the manager, take a squad of outfield players rather than a rookie goalkeeper. But I went to both the games. Obviously disappointed. We conceded late on in the first game, our goal, and we got beat with the Ricavia goal. But I do tell people the league game the following year at Tottenham, Joe was injured. I played, and we actually beat him 2-1. So who knows? Maybe if I'd have played in the cup. But yeah, the shirt was iconic. It's a great shirt, and one which we always remember. And Umbro, I think, were one of my first sponsors for my gloves as well. So
fantastic.
It was great, yeah.
So following the cup final, I think it was literally might have been the week after, we played a testimonial for Tommy Booth.
Yeah.
Where the '69 final played there. Was you involved in that, Alex? What you memories of that day?
2 stories for that. First of all, yes, I played. it was the current City team against the old City team.
So the 81 team against the
Correct, yeah.
69.
And I've got somewhere within the club, and I probably need to get it back. My goalkeeper jersey was obviously this one, and it had another gold-laden badge saying Tommy Booth Testimonial.
Right, yeah.
So I've actually got that, which is currently at the club, but I might get it back because I loaned it to the club to put into some sort of a new area where they would have trophies, but they've not done it. So it's sat in a box along with my MBE and my England under-18 youth cap as well. So rather than have it in a box, I might get it back, and at least if I take it round to schools or whatever it's being used. But yeah, and the other story about that game was Francis Lee. We won the game comfortably, the current team, but I remember
about 9-2, I think.
Yeah, it was something like that. But Franny Lee stepped onto a shot from 30 yards, and it's a screamer in the top corner. And I've just got my fingers to it and touched it over. And as I've hit the ground, I thought, Alex, what a fantastic save. And Francis Lee ran right up to my face and went, next time I hit a shot like that, catch it. I couldn't believe it. I thought I'd done well just to tip it over, but that was my recollection of that game, yeah.
And a great servant for City, Tommy Booth.
Tommy's
you'll
different
see
class.
regularly now on a match
Different
day.
class. There's about 12 of us: Peter Barnes, Joe Corrigan, Tommy Booth, Gary Owen, Richard Ed, Julian Brightwell, and we go around to all the various rooms on a match day. And Tommy Booth is one of the funniest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah, and always seems to got time for everyone,
funny.
like yourself, Tom.
Yeah, and he's always got time for a drink as well.
So at the 81-82 season, it's our last season without a sponsor.
Yeah.
Kind of in and out the side, not quite sort of Big Joe is really coming to his end.
Yeah, it's coming to his end, and sort of before I made, that this was one of the shirts which we used just before I managed to attain the #1 jersey from Big Joe. I was still only a young lad, so I always thought they might have brought someone else in, and I know apparently they were looking at Pat Jennings at the time. Eric Nixon came in, who was a local lad, went to the same school as me, played for Curzon Ashton, knocked on the door for a trial, so he ended up coming in, and I think we ended up with people like Barry Siddall. There was also the former Ipswich goalkeeper Paul
Cooper was in it later, wasn't he?
Yeah. So there was a crop of them, then Perry Suckling and one or two others. And that was before we solidified the position, and we started to get people like Tony Coton in, Peter Schmeichels, of course, David Seaman. So, and you forget those great goalkeepers actually played for Manchester City. But that was the last sort of going back towards the start of my era.
So 82-83.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody mentions the last game of the season to you. This was the shirt that season.
Yeah.
First time sponsor. Sponsor was changed to white after a few games in the season that requested Saab said it wasn't sort of.
Yeah, it was a great time for us because we were up and down, and of course, I played in that infamous game where we got relegated against Luton Town. So it was nice to sort of consolidate the #1 position. I didn't feel that game personally. The goal was my fault. Radianti scored a screamer from a cross. I punched it out and he knocked it in. But it was great to play virtually every single game for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And the year we went back up against Charlton, I'd played all 42 league games and had 21 clean sheets. So it was great to sort of wipe the slate clean.
So we do go down.
Yeah.
So the 83-84 season. Billy McNeil comes in. This is your shirt, Alex, from that season.
Yeah. I mean, great.
This is where you're really starting to make a name for yourself.
This was iconic. Yeah, it's an iconic shirt for me. My first ever game I'd played in a red shirt because it was against West Brom.
This was your debut.
Yeah, debut game. Yeah, and because West Brom had green and yellow stripes, I couldn't play in the green top. So it was this shirt which was in red, which was, I would love to know what happened to that shirt and get it back today. But it was an iconic shirt, and we ended up with a good sponsorship deal with Saab. They were on there. I think it was Waters Street in Manchester, just at the back of the Mancunian Way. And I ended up driving a couple of Saabs as well. They give us good deals to buy cars.
There must have been a few Saabs in the players' car
They
park.
They were great cars. I don't think they're no longer in existence now, but they were a good product.
So Billy McNeil's the manager that season. A huge name in the game, centre half at Celtic. A lot of Scottish players came in, a few turnover of players that season, and we don't quite go up. Players like Derek Parlane came in.
Yeah, we had a great crop of players. It was Derek Parlane, Jim Tomey, Jim Melrose. I thought one of the best ones out of the lot was a lad called Gordon Smith. He was a midfield player, but he was also an academic, because when he stopped playing football, he went back up to Scotland to be the chief exec of the Scottish FA. And he was brilliant, great player, Gordon Smith, but he's only ever remembered, unfortunately, for one thing. That's when he played at Brighton and he missed that last-minute chance against Man United. But this was an iconic shirt for us, and it was a great time where we were always bubbling at the top. I think the first year we went down, we just missed out to Sheffield Wednesday and Newcastle, and there was somebody else. And then we obviously just scraped up the following year on goal difference, so that was brilliant.
So change your keeper jersey.
Yeah.
Again, this is used for a couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Again, this is your shirt, Alex.
Yeah.
Traditional goalkeeper shirt.
Traditional, yeah. The material was a little bit better. There's a bit more nylon in this one. You know, the green cotton ones were great, but you know, these were a little bit warmer, especially in the winter months.
Yeah.
So, you know, Phillips was a good product, you know, electrical product company. So it was brilliant. It was good times for us, and it was just the time when we were coming back strong before I had my injury.
So if you, this is the promotion season.
Yeah.
Few players come in. David Phillips has a good season.
Yeah, he was a great player. We called him Little Welshie as a nickname. You know, he was brilliant at free kicks and taking corners. He was a great lad and a very, very good player, very underrated player. You know, I think people like Neil McNabb were around that time as well. We had a really good squad of players, a good mixture of sort of youth, because a lot of the younger lads was like myself, Steve Kinsey, Andy May, Clive Wilson. You know, then the golden crop of the sort of Paul Lakes era was just coming up behind the scenes as well. So the club was looking in quite a good place.
So we were stuttering a little bit that season, the promotion season. Notts County away. There was talk of the fans coming in the dressing room and to. They actually at the end of the game. Known.
Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, the game we were 3-0 down at half time, and we pulled it back to 3-2, but we did get beat, and the fans, small group of them, got to the changing room door and booted the door in after the game. Mick McCarthy was first up, and I was second behind me.
So Charlton home, last game of the season, Pax Main Road. Fantastic day. Paul Simpson, who came in the side late, he'd actually been out on loan earlier in the season, Simo, and come back in and was brilliant for us in the running.
Simo was brilliant. He scored some really important goals. One of the games I remember was played away at Tottenham. There was Brighton away, and he scored some really important goals for us. He was a great player, and he went on to have a great career as a coach. Up to recently, he took the under-18s and won the England under-18 World Cup.
Now back at his hometown club.
Back at his hometown club of Carlisle. So this was a great.
So what are your memories of that afternoon, Alex? Was going into the game, did you think, you know, could it be a typical City afternoon
the Charlton one?
Yeah.
No, I knew. I felt with the Luton game we had a lot to lose, whereas with the Charlton game we had a lot to win.
Sure.
And it just made us feel a bit more relaxed. And I remember in those days you could still take alcohol into the stands, and when the first goal went in, it sort of everyone was relieved. And the thing was, they used to have a really good goalkeeper. I think he was called Bob Boulder, who played for Charlton, who got injured a couple of weeks before, and there was a young lad called Lee something who played. He was only about 17, and the first goal was a through ball which he should have come out and cleared it at the edge of the box, and he sort of came and stopped, and Simo nipped in, went round him and scored. And after that we just knew we
Can you hear the roar now?
We did. The only disappointing thing for me was towards the end I let a goal in, and I ended up with 21 clean sheets out of 42. If I'd have had a clean sheet that day, I would have equalled Joe Corrigan's record. So I was one behind Joe Corrigan. Nicky Weaver has since broken Joe Corrigan's record.
That was one of the questions I had for you.
But he played 46 games in the lower league. I think it was the equivalent of the old third division. I mean, and I jokingly, when I see Nicky, said, firstly, I didn't have the privilege of playing down in that league, and if I did, I would have, out of 46 games, I probably would have had 40 clean sheets. But I was only jealous, really.
So we go up, promotion secured, back into the first division. I'll ask you about a couple of teammates now. Mick McCarthy came in 83, 84 for us. Partly brought with the sale of Tommy Caton to Arsenal. So what are your memories of Mick as a teammate?
Mick was brilliant. He was what I call a modern day Andy Morrison. You know, he was just a big, rugged defender who was exactly what we needed. Yorkshire lad, and I remember playing the year we went back up against Charlton. I think we were away at Sheffield a couple of games before, and before the game started he said, come on, clean sheet, not having these beating us, because he was a Barnsley lad, and I think he hated Sheffield. And I remember the first minute of the game, somebody had a header and a back pedal. I just got my fingers to it and tipped it over it. And we drew 0-0, so I had a clean sheet. And that laid the foundations for later on that season. But Mick was a great lad. He's had a great career, manager at various places. And, you know, he's just a good, honest Yorkshire lad.
Absolutely. You certainly get what you see with Mick. And if he's not happy, he will certainly tell you as well.
Yeah.
So it's back into the first division. You start the season, but unfortunately you get the back injury, which I'm sure everyone's mentioned to you. And, you know, it was obviously a tough time. Go out on loan.
It was, I mean, I knew when I got the back injury. It was.
What age was you?
I was probably around about 21, 22 years of age. I remember training one day, and I've always been a brilliant runner. And we were just jogging the full length of the pitch of the old Platt Lane training ground. And the lads were finishing. I was just coming over the halfway, and I thought, what was up? It was a really freezing cold day. So when I got back, I had a bath, and as I got out of the bath, I realised I had a numbness down my right side of back of my leg and tingling sensation. So I was sort of whisked straight to hospital. They knew it was some sort of nerve damage, and in the end, I had a part of my disc taken out of the base of my spine, and I got back 80%. I ended up going on loan to Queen of the South up in Dumfriesshire. The manager at the time, Billy McNeil, had a friend called Mike Jackson, of all names, up there. So I played a few games up there. Came back and got 70% fit, and then went on loan to Port Vale, where I eventually moved to, because two reasons. One, it was a lower league standard of football, and I thought, if I don't get fully fit, at least I might be able to carry my career. But their physio was a chap called Martin Copeland, who specialised in the recuperation from spinal injuries. So I thought, with him being there, that would be my best chance. And thirdly, I didn't have to move house, because it was only a 40-minute drive from where I lived in Heaton, Mersey, Stockport, up through Alderley Edge and into the back end of Stoke. But it didn't happen. I did a couple of great years there. I enjoyed it, and I just packed in, because I knew I was never going to get fully fit. I was cheating myself, I was cheating my teammates, and I was cheating the
long-term damage could have been done.
Absolutely. So luckily I had a bit of time in the wilderness for 12 months doing college courses, and ended up back at Man City.
Back at City again, and you also spent a spell coaching back at City.
I did, my coaching was brilliant, because I enjoyed working with...
Did you be one of the lads?
Schmeichels? I enjoyed working with the lads there at City, Alex Gibson and Jim Cassell, and I've had the privilege of working with Daniel Grimshaw, who's at Blackpool currently. I've worked with Kieran Westwood, who's last year was at QPR helping out Republic of Ireland. I've worked with Wayne Hennessy, who's World Cup Wales, and of course Casper Schmeichel. I didn't do it standalone. I worked very closely with a couple of other brilliant goalkeeper coaches. Andy Rhodes.
Was he around there at that time?
No, he wasn't around, but on the youth side it was Andy Rhodes and Dave Felgate. So the three of us all contributed. But
and another lad who's had a great career.
Schmeichel was brilliant. I mean, the thing with Schmeichel was everything I did, I worked with him 2 nights a week, and then I watched him on a Sunday play the academy games, stood on the touchline watching everything I did, was possibly one of the best goalkeepers ever, and that was his father, Peter Schmeichel. And to be fair to Peter, he always came up to me after the session, said, thank you, that was brilliant, well done. He's an absolute gentleman, and of course, a City legend.
Great stuff. So I'm jumping right forward now. You've been at City, involved in the club, in the fantastic City, the community team. But we go to 2011-12 as a City fan. I'm sure you were there that day, that goal. So where was Alex Williams that day? What are your memories?
I was in the stands watching the game with my good lady, and you know, we couldn't believe you know, we were down and things weren't going well for us. Like the Gillingham game, my missus says, oh, let's go, we're not going to win. No. He says, he's a City fan, no, we're not going, we're staying. And I did stay right through the Gillingham game, and I did stay right through this one as well, the QPR game. And ironically, Joey Barton did us a favour getting sent off. And it was just amazing what happened, and the turnaround, and then, of course, the Aguero goal. As Martin Tyler said, you will never see anything like this again. Although, to be fair, we came quite close last season, didn't we?
It was,
But it was just amazing how the club has turned around. Our owners through to the current board of directors are brilliant.
I mean, you've seen all the changes.
I've seen all the changes, and I've always thought to myself, it would be nice if the club could get some owners who had the ambition and the professionalism to match the great work of CITC.
Yeah.
Well, they've done that and some, via Sheikh Mansour and Fran Soriano leading the current board of directors. So it's absolutely brilliant.
Fantastic stuff.
Brilliant.
Which he deserved.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad little servant for us.
Pablo.
But we've had players, Alex, I know we've been spoiled for choice these last 10, 15 years, but they've all brought into what we're doing. We've got longevity out of all the players, haven't we?
They all want to stay and have an association. You look at Pablo Zabaleta, we've still got people like Julian Lescott around, Sean Wright-Phillips around, Micah Richards, Nader Manu, who's now the chair, on the board of our CITC trustees, so he's doing a lot of work with CITC. So the lads love it when they come to Manchester. It's a great place, and that's testimony to Pep Guardiola. I think he just signed a new deal to keep him there for 9 years in total.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. He's so comfortable here, I believe. He loves the club, he loves the owners, and he loves everything about it. So there's unfinished business. We just need to get that Champions League over the line, which hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll do this year.
So what about this fella during his time was a great...
Yeah, it was. Well. Joe was brilliant. He was part of that era which I think really started the new Manchester City. And people often ask me what was the turning point, and I think one of the turning points, as well as Joe Hart, was signing Carlos Tevez. That's my opinion. He was one of the old-style strikers who sort of pressurised the back four.
Yeah.
He never stopped running, and when he got an opportunity to score a goal,
he raised eyebrows, Alex, when he came across to us. Because he hadn't gone anywhere he wanted to.
I think we had a campaign as well. I think there was a sign as you drive into Manchester saying, Carlos Tevez saying, "Welcome to Manchester." So I think that was absolutely brilliant. Brilliant signing, Tevez. And he, Joe Hart, in that sort of era, was the turning point for the new Manchester City.
You knew what you were getting every week, didn't you? 110%.
Absolutely.
And it's the same now. So
it's just. Well, I think if I remember rightly, he turned West Ham around at the end of one season. They looked like they were going down. Went to United and then came to us. So it was a statement of intent that.
And probably forgotten really his impact in that changing
Absolutely.
period with the goals he scored.
Absolutely.
10, 11, he had ones 11, 12, but previously that he scored goals for fun.
Yeah, and being a goalkeeper, I know goals change games, and I know how hard it is for strikers to put the ball in the net. So to have a world-class striker is brilliant. Yeah.
So, talking about world-class strikers, I know from talking to you previously, this guy you've enjoyed watching over the years.
Well, he was amazing. Kun Aguero, he was absolutely amazing. People ask me who the best City player was of all time, and I think it's a bit of a leading question, because you can have players who are brilliant but don't make that difference. I think the reason we've won as many trophies as we've won is because of Kun Aguero, of Sergio Aguero. If you put the ball in the net, it wins you things.
Absolutely.
And he was absolutely amazing. We could potentially have somebody at the moment who in time will rival him in Erling Haaland. But Sergio Aguero was world class. I watch games today, and when a striker gets, the obvious one was the Belgium game the other night where they've just gone out.
Yeah.
And I thought if only one or two of those chances had fallen to Sergio Aguero, Belgium would be through.
Well, I think he might have finished with 3 or 4 in that game.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that's the difference. He would stick the ball in the net. Yeah.
So keeping with the modern day players.
Yeah.
He can't go on forever, this fella, but...
Well, we've just touched on Belgium, ironically. Kevin must be so disappointed not to have got further than what they've done, but for Manchester City, he has been an absolute revelation.
And constant.
He came to the club with a lot of expectation, and he has delivered. Kevin De Bruyne is a world-class player, and certainly one of the top 5 Manchester City players of all time. We've had an abundance of them recently, but he's up there with the best of the best. He's a brilliant player. Yeah.
So, Alex, in today's game, the goalkeeper's jersey's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Would Alex Williams slotted into this little number?
Well, I'd have probably got some stick for it straight away, but the other thing on a serious note was I always thought goalkeepers' jerseys had to wear long sleeves. And I think the reason they get away with it is they wear an undershirt, which is the matching colour. And the reason for that is if there's a high cross, the referee needs to establish if the person with the hand to the ball is actually the goalkeeper. So hence the reason of the long sleeve. But I think because they wear an undershirt which has long sleeves, which has the same colour, that makes them get away with it. I personally would always prefer a long sleeve shirt, especially in the winter because it's cold. But it's just the modern way now, and you know, it's a great shirt, and you know,
this guy can do everything, can he?
Edison's not bad. And I noticed in the World Cup he's got ahead of Alisson, which is interesting. Yeah.
Another great player for us.
Yeah.
So, and it's going to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, sure.
Some teasers, test your memories.
Yeah.
So, I think you've answered most of these already.
Yeah.
How many clean sheets did Alex Williams keep during the 83-84 campaign?
If it was the one against Charlton Athletic, I played 42 games and had 21 clean sheets.
No, it was the season before.
The season before. Oh, right. I wouldn't have done as well as that. I'll probably put it down to about 15.
11 on that one.
All right,
So City debut, March the 14th, 1981 at home to West Brom. But who was in the opposite net that afternoon?
I'm guessing it was Tony Godden.
It was.
Yeah. 21
clean sheets during the 84-85 season, sets a club record. Which future City keeper went on to break that?
It was.
We mentioned him earlier, I believe.
Not Perry Suckling.
Big Gillingham.
Gilling.
You mentioned him earlier.
Yeah. I can.
Penalty shootout. Wembley,
Yeah. I could see it. Go on for me.
Nicky Weaver.
Nicky, yeah.
So, which two keepers also featured for City during the first team during the 85-86 season? So that was the season you picked up your injury.
Right.
So two other players.
Goalkeepers. I'm guessing Eric Nixon.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one. I'm going to go Barry Siddle.
Barry Siddle came in on loan at the end of the season, played 6 games. Dug deep for that one.
Yeah.
So which three influential players were missing from our final home game of the 84-85 season win over Charlton? There was 3 big players didn't play that day. Jeff Lomax came in.
Yeah.
Played at right back.
Would it be Ray Ranson?
Wasn't Ray Ranson.
I'm trying to think who didn't play. Paul Powell, was he one?
No.
No.
Tough question, I know, it's a long time ago.
Mick McCarthy?
Mick was out with suspension.
Yeah. Would have been, who'd have missed that then? Presume midfield. Trying to think now. No, you've got me on that.
Nicky Reed was missing.
Was it?
And Clive Wilson.
Clive? Bloody hell, Willow. Should have got with little Willow, yeah.
So a couple of City favourites. Favourite teammate?
Clive Wilson. We went to. This is really spooky. We were both born in my side. We both share the same birthday, 13th of November.
This is killed.
We both went to the same school, and we were both in the same class.
So, favourite City fixture? What one springs to mind?
Any that you win, but my best ever match was Tottenham away after the Ricky Cup final. We won big 2-1.
Was one at West Ham as well?
We played at West Ham, yeah. The first minute of the game, they were awarded a penalty, and they had a Scottish right back called Ray Stewart.
Yeah, used to
and he used to have the hardest shot at football, and it was the only penalty I believe he ever missed. I saved it, but they still beat us 5. But I was clapped off the pitch by the West Ham players because I was man of the match, even though we got beat 5.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, favourite City save? What one springs out?
Oh, that's a good one, that one. I remember saving a worldie in the top corner from Graham Souness at Main Road. But I think they went on to beat us 3-0, but it was a good save.
Yeah, they often did Liverpool.
Yeah, they did a great team then,
Favourite Main Road memory?
Probably Charlton Athletic. You always remember the first game as well, the West Brom game, because we won. But I think beating Charlton and coming back up was fantastic. The 5-1 game, that was amazing.
So how about a non-playing City staff member, Alex? Someone around the club?
I would probably say Steve Fleet, my youth team coach, was one because he was very instrumental on my career. He was someone I could always talk to, and he always made me feel comfortable if I made a mistake, not to worry about it and just go out and play again. So certainly Steve Fleet was the most important.
These are true or false, but I think we've covered most of them.
Yeah.
You share a birthday with former City player Clive Wilson.
Yeah, Clive Wilson, yeah.
Paul Lake was your apprentice boot boy.
True, yeah.
You went to the same school as former City player Clive Wilson.
Yeah.
City will win the Champions League under Pep Guardiola. True or false?
This year, yeah, I think we'll do it this year, touch wood.
Good stuff. And former City player Clive Wilson is a self-confessed Liverpool fan. Now I know the answer to this one.
It's so bizarre I would have to say true.
It is true.
I didn't know that.
It's been a real pleasure to share your
Yeah.
tales.
I'm just thinking about, sorry Nicky, if you watch it, I just had a blank moment at the time there, Nick, but I did give you a mention earlier for breaking the record, so there you go.
Great stuff. Thanks,
Cheers,
Alex.
Pleasure.